Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Computer America Show. We're going to try something a little different tonight. The first hour of the show is actually a pre-recorded interview that we did with Intel yesterday. So I'm going to be here, and Ben will be here in Google Hangouts, and of course in the chat room. But the first hour you're going to hear is actual pre-recording. So you will hear us. My mouth won't be moving because it's a pre-recorded. But then in hour two, we'll pick up the show at that point live and do the computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So sit back, relax.
2 minutes until showtime.
And enjoy the show.
One minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman. Okay, Ben.
Oh, my bad. And I'm your co-host, Ben. Sorry.
Oh, man.
The mute switch is
yes.
very, very hard to hit.
Yes, it is, evidently. Well, welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Computer America Show. It's the middle of the week, and we got a terrific program planned for you tonight. In the second hour of the show, we're going to have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And since it is the second Wednesday of the month, it's time for our Intel Sponsor Hour. That's right. Intel is here with us tonight, and we're going to be talking to the executive director of the Intel Foundation. Wendy Hawkins is here. So anything you want to talk about, Ben, before we get started?
You know, I think people are going to figure it out, but we should really mention that this is the first time that we are going to be trying out a pre-recorded show.
Yes, we are pre-recorded. That's why you won't see our live video for the first hour.
Yep.
That's right, exactly. But
But it's worth mentioning. You know, we don't plan on doing this often, but sometimes we really want the good interviews, and for the sake of our guests, so they don't have to get up in the middle of the night or what have you. Pre-recording is something new we're going to try out. So hopefully this goes very, very well.
Yes, those late night interviews, especially when we're dealing with foreign countries, can be really, really pressing. They're up at 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yep. So hopefully better quality guests and better interviews, all for pre-recording.
All right. Well, let's get to it. As I said, Intel is here. Wendy Hawkins is the executive director of the Intel Foundation. And the Intel Foundation is active worldwide, awarding grants totaling approximately $40 million each year and focusing on STEM education. That's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. See, STEM. This program is increasing opportunities for girls, women, and underrepresented minorities and supporting their philanthropic efforts of Intel's employees in education, their communities, and in response to disasters around the world. In addition to 20-plus years managing education philanthropy for Intel, Wendy has developed and managed numerous global, national, and local educational programs, and is also responsible for the Intel Science Talent Search, the most prestigious high school science competition in the U.S. Wendy, welcome back into Computer America. How are you?
Well, I'm great, and I realize I have to update my resume because I just last Friday celebrated my 25th anniversary with Intel, so 25 years, and the
25 years. Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks. And yes, the Intel Science Talent Search is indeed the oldest and most prestigious science competition for high school students in the country.
Well, tell us a little bit more about what is the Intel Science Talent Search and what role does the Intel Foundation play in it?
Well, the Science Talent Search itself is coming up on 75 years old. It will celebrate its 75th anniversary next year. And when you add Intel to it, we've been the sponsors since 1999 and are very proud to have had that association with it. And so our relationship is not just as providing the funding, which we are very proud to do, but we are very active partners working with Society for Science and the Public, who are the owners of the competition. So we work hand in hand with Society for Science and the Public, which I'll shorthand and refer to as SSP for sake of brevity henceforward. But SSP and we work together to we really work hard to follow our philosophy, which is that young scientists deserve to be celebrated every bit as much as the best athletes in the country, the best young artists in the country, whatever it is that we celebrate among young people in the country, that young scientists deserve to be celebrated and encouraged every bit as much, if not more. And so that's our intent with this program. One of the things that we have really been very, very excited and proud to be able to do in our years of sponsorship is to raise the stakes considerably in terms of the size of the awards. And so they've gone up. I think the top awards were on the order of $25,000, $30,000 for the top awards. And last year, the top award was $100,000, and the big news this year was that we had not one but 3 top awards, each of which was $150,000.
Wow! Well, so we have these new award categories and new awards. Why don't you tell us about these new awards and the award categories at this year's Intel Science Talent Search? And also, I'm curious to know, why did Intel make these changes?
Well, one of the things that we have observed, both, just in the world of science generally, where we live and breathe and have our being, but also what we saw in what the students that we were seeing come through as finalists and the work that they were doing, was that there were changes in the kinds of projects that we saw and the kinds of work that engineers and scientists at Intel and at the major research institutions and universities around the world are doing. And what we were seeing was that while there are continuous advancements in basic research that work in the fundamental building blocks of science and engineering that continues to this day, but that increasingly the really exciting advancements are at the intersections, that's where the real innovations are taking place, where you bring together different branches of science. So it's not just chemistry for the sake of chemistry, biology for the sake of biology, but it's where chemistry and biology collide, and you bring in computer science and data and engineering, and you mix it all together, and it's where that innovation takes place. And so we wanted to look at that kind of innovation. So we created a new award in innovation for that intersection of different areas of science and engineering and computer science. And we also saw that students really were following their passions for making the world a better place to live in and improving lives in the world, and that they were not doing science for the sake of science. They were not solving puzzles for the sake of teasing out answers to puzzles for the sake of answers. They were solving problems for the sake of improving lives, making the world better. And so we created a new award for global good, was what we named it. So we now have 3 awards: basic science, innovation, and global good. $150,000 for the top awards in each of those categories, $75,000 for second place awards, and $35,000 for the third place awards in each of those categories.
And that's incredible. But like, I remember, my county science fair, my state science fair, that kind of thing. It sounds like you guys aren't just looking for, proper application of the scientific method. You're not looking for, how well does the student understand the material. They're actually doing, maybe not groundbreaking, but they're reinterpreting old ideas, new ideas, and they're actually making something themselves. Like, you call them students, but they're doing, real work.
That's absolutely right. And in fact, I would say that the really distinguishing feature of the Intel Science Talent Search, the thing that sets it apart from every other competition that I've looked at, is that what the judges are really looking for with these students, and just to kind of couch it in terms of the process, the students submit a written application which describes the research, the original work that they did, plus other information in the written application. And those applications are read by scientists and engineers. Very distinguished group of evaluators reads those applications. And so they're evaluated first on the research that they did, but the field is then narrowed to semifinalists and then to finalists. The 40 finalists come to Washington, D.C., and they spend a very intimate week with the 13 judges who interview them over the course of several days. And what those judges are looking for is no longer the quality of the research they did. What they're really looking for are the future leaders of science and engineering in the United States. They're looking for future Nobel laureates. They're looking for the future leaders of the National Academies of Science, the National Institutes of Health. They're looking for the future MacArthur Genius Award winners. They're looking for the future leaders of universities and research institutes in the United States. Who's really going to lead the future of science and innovation in the United States into the 21st century? So the questions that they're asking these students take them way out over their skis. They're really taking them into areas where they don't know the answers and asking them to connect dots and speculate and think originally on their feet. And in the course of those interviews, they really stretch them beyond what they know to do original thought on the fly. It's a pretty amazing process.
It certainly sounds like it. I would like to hear, and if you would be so kind as to tell us about some of this year's Intel Science Talent Search winners and their research. Matter of fact, by the way, I'm looking at the website here, and when you go to the Computer America page, click on the show notes, and we'll have links to the Intel stories it's from the Intel newsroom. And I'm referring specifically to the article that says Teen Geniuses Win Top Honors in Science Glory at Intel Science Talent Search 2015. And our listeners will be able to see these articles because we'll have the links right there on our show notes page. So why don't you tell us about some of the winners here?
Yeah, it's definitely not the kind of baking soda vinegar.
No, it's not.
Explosions, or not even the Mentos in the Pepsi. It's just it's not that kind of thing. Just a couple of the top award winners this year. We had Noah Golowich, who did mathematics. That talk about being out over your skis. That you've got me trying to explain what he did. But he did original mathematics work, resolving the type of Ramsey theory, looking at finding patterns in large and complicated systems. He's had 4 original papers published in peer-reviewed journals, meaning that he has been evaluated by professional mathematicians, and his work has been worthy to be published on par with other professional mathematicians, aside from this competition. So he is one example. One of the young women who took third place in Global Good and did work that I personally found really inspiring on a number of levels. The research that she did combined computer machine learning. She taught the computer to look at a variety of potential drugs and to evaluate them so that they could narrow the field of drugs that they would look at more closely for which ones to test for having the potential to be used for treating cancer, tuberculosis, Ebola, and so on, so that they could quickly narrow down which ones really had potential and look at them more seriously. And the system that she used is actually being used in China, for instance, and they narrowed the field for which drugs to actually then test in the field for use for tuberculosis. So this 17-year-old girl is doing work that's actually being used in the field for very real and very important work. She developed 3D visualization techniques and biomimicry techniques and taught the computer to use those techniques then to do real and important work. And then out of her personal passion that other young women were not being given and encouraged to use the opportunities to do work of this caliber and this kind of work using computers, that they, were getting the messages that computers, girls together, not so much. She is regularly teaching classes for younger girls, teaching them how to do computer programming and encouraging them, which I especially am very, very passionate about seeing girls have those kind of opportunities. So I really love seeing the kinds of things that she was doing. Andrew Jin took the top award in Global Good. He's a kid out of San Jose, and was doing work with again analyzing genomic databases in his case, and again using machine learning and looking at mutations in immune response and so on, using big data and computer learning and so on to look at new treatments and vaccines. And Michael Weiner, who took the top award in innovation, was doing fascinating work in phonons, which are the sound equivalent of photons, which are the light equivalent of electrons, and I had never heard of phonons myself, but looking at those which have potential for being of great interest to scientists, looking at superconductors. And when you hear him talking about the kind of potential that these have for superconductivity and energy efficiency and so on, the kind of innovation that that he's looking at and having an impact on. Again, you look at these 17, 18-year-old kids and you think, no, these are not students. These are scientists.
Right. And I can see it.
So you really, like, Intel's really trying to foster not just an interest in money. You know, it's not just for that grand prize. It's not just for the second place prize. They're kind of fostering a love for science. Like, after they win the award, they're not going to, job out of college and bum around Europe for a while. They're going to probably continue in the science field.
Oh, absolutely. And to be quite honest, it's not a matter of encouraging these young people to get interested in science or stay interested in science. Frankly, from my perspective, it's more, let's give them enough money that they're not distracted by money and the need for it. Let's just, remove the barriers of money from in front of them so that they can just focus on getting on with it as far as their studies and research and so on, so that they can just focus on the science. To me, that's the important part as far as the money and these particular individuals. I'm much more interested in using the money of getting the rest of the world to focus on these students and taking a look at them. It's much easier to get other adults and media and other students to go, wait a minute, $150,000? Let me take a look. It's the rest of us. I'd like us to focus on the science and the students and pay attention. These kids, we don't need to do anything to get them interested.
Right, exactly. And I'm looking. I mean, look at the what they were up against. So there was like the finalists hailed from 36 schools in 18 states. You had 1,844 high school seniors who entered, and of those, 40 were chosen as finalists. It's just that there was a lot of competition here, so the competition was fierce.
It was, and the projects these students did, every one of them was just fascinating, and the stories behind how these students chose what they did were so marvelous. The young woman who decided to focus her research on melanoma cancer after watching her mother go through treatment when this girl was 11 years old, and who immediately decided she needed to do research and started writing letters to researchers. She's 14 years old and she's just pounding researchers. I need to do research in your lab. I need to do research in your lab, until she got, when she was 14 years old, she started doing research because she just wouldn't quit. Just amazing. And she's doing serious research and turning out real impactful work. And the kid whose grandfather was doing work in jungles in India on blood-borne disease, and he saw that the need that his grandfather had for being able to do diagnosis immediately in the field, and the scarcity of having tools that would allow him to do this. So in his garage, this kid cobbles together a lens that he could attach to his cell phone, and that developing software that his cell phone could then take the images and do analysis on the fly and diagnose sickle cell anemia or whatever blood-borne diseases by the images that could be taken with a cell phone camera, and developed all of this on his own with no help from anybody in his garage, a real working model and develop a business. Things like this, 17, 18-year-old kids just determined.
Yeah, just amazing stories. Yeah. Wendy, now, who judges the Intel Science Talent Search? I mean, and can you tell me a little bit how the actual winners are selected, the process?
Sure. Let's see. Well, as I think I mentioned earlier, the evaluators and the judges are drawn from a very distinguished pool, and many of them have done it have been involved for decades. They're very passionate about the work that they do, and they're drawn. We've had Nobel laureates serving as judges, and distinguished members of the academies. And this year I was really particularly delighted by the pool of judges who were judging the finalists. It was a great group of people, and we had several of the judges had been finalists, and some winners from past science talent searches themselves, and they were faculty members from and distinguished faculty members from like University of Chicago and MIT, and they were from NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, from National Institutes of Health and Harvard Medical School, places like that, and just a very distinguished group and a very diverse group. People born in the United States, people born elsewhere, immigrants to the United States, people of pretty much every color and background that you can imagine, and very representative, as are the students themselves, of a very diverse background. So it was, and men and women, and which is especially important to me because I hadn't mentioned it, I don't think before, but one of the things I've always been delighted about in the years that we've been sponsors, at any rate, of the Science Talent Search is that it's always been very evenly balanced, male-female. And so it was always important to me that the judges reflect that as well. And so we've worked hard to achieve that kind of a balance in the judging pool.
And you had, now I don't know if I'd really be envious of those judges here, because the kids are so talented. What do they do? How are the winners selected? I mean, it must be a very, very difficult, I would think.
They sweat bullets. The judges really agonize over these decisions. Boy, the morning after they've gone, into the wee hours making these decisions, they just look wrung out. They're so exhausted by it all, but so excited to have had the opportunity. It's hard to get rid of a judge. Let me tell you, they love the opportunity to be with these students and spend the time with them. Wow.
So, as I said, I wouldn't want to be in their seat, because the talent is just so thick you can cut it with a knife. So now, beyond the Intel Science Talent Search, why don't you speak a little bit about what other education programs Intel supports?
Well, there's, of course, the sister competition, which is also the property or the program of Society for Science and the Public, and that's the Intel International Science and Engineering Fair. That's coming up in May. That competition brings together about 2,500 students from all around the world. I think something over 80 countries are represented at that fair. That will be coming up in Pittsburgh. Starts on Mother's Day this year. It starts on Mother's Day every year. And so we'll be looking forward with great excitement to that competition coming up. And then we sponsor a number of programs particularly in the communities where Intel has presence around the country here in the United States and around the world. And we work with our local communities to improve science and technology, engineering, and mathematics education in the local communities, and we work nationally and internationally to do the same. As you mentioned as well, we're interested in education and support for girls and women's education around the world, and have been involved with that. And it's not Intel Corporation and Intel Foundation work closely together on all of these things. So it's not Intel Foundation alone working independently of Intel Corporation in support of STEM education and girls and women and education generally, that these are shared objectives that we work hand in hand with the Intel Corporation on all of this.
So is there fine print on the, when you sign up for the contest that, hey, if you win, there's a high chance that you are going to be drafted by Intel, and we will be calling you after the fact?
Well, it's certainly true that we one of the things that we do try to do is make a good impression on all of these brilliant young students and let them know that if you are ever interested in coming to work at Intel, we would love to have you come talk to us. And so we do try to make a good impression on them while we're associated with them. But there's no quid pro quo expressed or implied. There's no requirement.
Have you had any former winners come to Intel, just out of curiosity?
Absolutely. Yeah, there are. In fact, I was delighted and surprised to find out that Mike Mayberry, who's one of the very senior scientists at Intel, was himself I can't remember how far he got in the competition, but he has been coming to the Intel Science Talent Search every year for many years, and he just loves coming and talking to the students and talking about the research work that he leads and so on. And I hadn't realized until this year that he was himself I can't remember, as I say, a semifinalist or finalist. And Ted Hoff, who was I think he was the very first Intel fellow.
Wendy, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to take a quick break and then we'll continue on, okay? You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, the Boost Radio Network, the IRN Radio Network. Intel is our guest. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No Hair Removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No Hair Removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented Thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card. And you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Okay, let's get you out of your rut. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time Irwin Curved Jaw Vice Grip. Their full name, Irwin Fast Release Vice Grip Curved Jaw Locking Pliers, leaves us with only a few things to talk about for this review. The tool is 10 inches long. Its curved jaws are a plus when gripping pipe or conduit up to 48 millimeters in diameter. You can release it with one hand because there's no release trigger to squeeze. The front gripping lips are about ½ an inch wide and ¼ inch deep for a firm hold on smaller items, and the pressure adjustment is knurled for easy field modification. Bottom line, Irwin Fast Release Vice Grip Curved Jaw Locking Pliers add a great grip on pipe or conduit, plus some handling improvements to a tool family we've long found dependable. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour. We are talking to Wendy from Intel, who is the Executive Director of the Intel Foundation. And we're talking about this science talent search, and and the huge role that they play in that. And you kind of hit on it a little bit earlier concerning how diverse the students and those who actually participate, how diverse they are, and you wanted the judges panel to kind of reflect that. But it's no secret that, especially lately, in Silicon Valley and just the IT specifically, but also in science and engineering, women are hugely underrepresented. Like, I actually have friends that go to college for engineering degrees, and without a doubt, there's usually only about 2 or 3 to every 20 male students. Like, it's a pretty big problem. So I see that Intel is is trying to tackle this head on. So what is the Intel Foundation doing to kind of get the numbers back in line?
Well, Intel Foundation has a number of programs that encourage and support girls in engineering and science programs, and we look for a number of ways, and the foundation probably focuses more at the younger ages, and Intel Corporation is focusing more specifically on older, closer to college age and so on efforts. But so we have at the foundation done a lot of work on programs like robotics programs for elementary and junior high girls. We find that giving girls a chance to try out programs that are hands-on and let them actually do programming and engineering in settings that are fun, and give them a chance, we find, to do that work in all-girl settings often is empowering and gives them a chance to do that without boys who often have kind of pointy elbows when it comes to shared environments. When there's a robot to play with and you've got 5 kids sharing a robot, the boys tend to have pointy elbows, and when you've got one computer and you're supposed to share it and learn to do programming on it, pointy elbows again. So it's good when somebody's going to have pointy elbows that it's all girls. So we found that it's good to put them in all girl settings and let them learn in those settings and learn that, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this and I actually like it, before you turn them loose in a setting where they have to deal with the pointy elbows.
Right. Now, to me, I think the answer is obvious, but why don't you tell us, why it's important to get girls and women involved in science and engineering?
Well, from the perspective of a business, a company like Intel doesn't just sell products to men, and in fact, you look at the data, and the decisions about purchases are made not just even 50% by the 50% of the population that are women, but women are involved in a significant majority of the purchase decisions in the typical household. And
I hear it all the time. Okay, I'd like to buy a computer, but I have to check with the head honcho, and he's talking about his wife, of course.
Right.
Yes, I hear it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just silly to think that the typical male computer guy is going to be brilliant about designing products that will appeal to the typical woman.
Yeah.
Just think about who that typical male computer guy is and how likely he is to be sensitive to the needs of the typical female purchaser. It's just counterintuitive, and in fact, it doesn't work all that brilliantly well in real life. And what the evidence shows is that the teams that include women are much better at coming up with innovative designs and product designs that work better for a broad spectrum of purchasers. And all the evidence is quite clear that's how you build a company that is going to be more successful. So companies like Intel are waking up and looking around and saying that's what we need to be a good and successful business. So it's good business as well as being however you want to look at it, as socially correct or politically correct or whatever kinds of social rightness would lead us to those same conclusions, but it's also just simply good business. And so however you reach the conclusion is the same, that we need to have more women with those skills, and it's also for the benefit of the women who need those good-paying jobs and those opportunities for their own sake and the sake of women to be able to raise their children with the kinds of skills and incomes that they can pass on to that next generation. So it really doesn't matter how you slice and dice it. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So since we're talking about this type of thing and these trends, speaking about trends, what do you see, what does Intel see as some of the top trends that you're seeing in education right now?
Well, there's certainly a lot of discussion about the importance of STEM education, and there's a lot of focus on raising standards and a lot of focus on testing and the importance of measuring and holding ourselves to those high standards. I would say that one of the things that concerns me personally is that the trust within, I guess the trust across populations of all of us who are concerned about education has largely broken down. When you look at
Really?
trust, yeah, I think that there's a real lack of trust between parents and teachers and administrators and the tax-paying public and government leaders, that there's a us versus them mentality, and it makes it very difficult for good decisions to be made in that kind of an environment. It's a very adversarial feeling about the kinds of decisions that are getting made. So I think that until we have a better consensus about what we all really want our education system to achieve, what it is that we really believe education should be delivering, what it is that we want education to deliver for our children. When you say what it is that we all want our children to be well educated. We want our children to be able to have good jobs and to have good lives. But you scratch a little bit below the surface and it gets a little difficult to reach a consensus about exactly what does that mean. And teachers get very frustrated by changing the rules about what it is that they're asked to deliver and what resources they're given to deliver it with, and frustrated by how they're measured. And parents get frustrated by moving targets as to what their children are being asked to do at the end of the day and what they've been educated with at the end of the time that they walk out the door. And I think we need to work harder to come to agreement as to what it is that we really expect of our education system and what we're willing to pay for and what our children can expect to have in hand when they walk out the door at the end of their education.
I mean, I read about, seeing trends about how the U.S. ranks in the world when it comes to education, and we are so, how should I mean?
Not competitive.
Not competitive
anymore.
At all. Yeah. And between that and teachers' salaries, I mean, what's one of the lowest paying jobs, an educator, you would think, it just things seem to be stacked against our educational system, and we should be doing everything we can to help that, increase it. And
absolutely, and it's a very tough. It's the toughest job, I think, today that I can imagine, to be teaching school. It's a very, very tough environment, and very underappreciated task and job, and very frustrating to work on. And I think one of the things that we tend to lose sight of when we talk about the fact that our schools are not competitive when we compare them with the rest of the world is that our education system delivery on an absolute scale has gone up and up and up and up. It's not that our schools have not improved, it's that the rest of the world has been improving faster. So it's not that our schools have gotten worse, it's just that the rest of the world has gotten better faster. And we are graduating more and more students as a percentage than were graduating when I was a kid in school. It's not that we're not graduating more, it's that other school systems are graduating more and more quickly than we are. So we have a tendency to beat ourselves up and not recognize that no, things have gotten better, but then we get caught in, well, what was good enough for me is good enough for our kids, and not realize that no, it's not.
No, it's not. No.
Because our kids are not going to compete against the kids in the next county. They're not going to compete against the kids in the school next door. They're not going to compete against the kids in the state next door. They're going to compete against the kids across the Pacific Ocean. They're going to compete against the kids in the Southern Hemisphere. They're going to compete against the kids around the world, because it's a global economy. It's a global world, and there's no barrier to competition.
And the quality of that education has to improve. I mean, you hear about some students graduating, they can barely read and write, and they get pushed through. just to match the numbers, and we have to deal with that. It's just it's a terrible situation.
And you know, you probably come from a pretty, like, your background might lead to a different viewpoint on this, but it seems like schools, when there seems to be especially, you know, kindergarten through 12, you get really general education. You get some in literature, you get some in math, you get some in science, you get some in this, and they're teaching a lot of things that probably aren't going to be relevant to most people, but it's still good to have backgrounds, at least lately, in a lot of those areas. But really, I mean, the students who are participating in the competition that we talked about earlier, they know what they want to do, and they pursue it eagerly, you know, at an earlier age. Like, they aren't just taking a bunch of general classes. How would you feel about, especially, you know, exploring in high school, maybe even starting as early as middle school, trying to narrow down your field a bit instead of just getting a general education all over?
Well, if you're suggesting that the students that we're seeing specialized and are not taking a broad spectrum of classes, I would say that the students that we see are in fact very broadly excellent, and they are virtually all of them are outstanding across the board in terms of their writing skills, and they're musicians, and they're athletes, and they are debaters, and they're perfect on, they have, I think, I can't remember how many of them had perfect scores on their SATs, but a number of them had perfect scores all across the board on their SATs. So these, the students who did well on at STS were not specialists. They had excellent across the board skills.
Yeah. Wendy, what do you see as the biggest challenge facing the U.S. education system?
Well, as I said, I really, my personal belief is that lack of consensus about what our education system ought to be delivering, I think is a huge challenge in the United States. I think that really is an issue, because if we don't agree what it should be delivering, if we don't know what the goal is, we're never going to get there. I think that really is an issue. I think that it is a really a huge challenge on two fronts, that we're not successful at giving young women viable opportunities in technical fields. They're somehow we're not successful in getting them all the way through. They're skilled. Clearly they're doing well when they're young, and somehow along the way we're losing them by the time we're getting them into the careers that we're losing them. We bleed them towards the end of that pipeline, and by the same token, young men are not doing well, particularly in school, and particularly young men of color. We're doing a pretty terrible job educating them, and with them, I would say in the younger years, is where we're losing them, and we have to do a better job there.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, so looking forward here, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the next steps for improving STEM education in the U.S. might be?
I'd say that in the last decade or more, probably 15 years, we have been so focused on reading and math that I would say that hands-on science has suffered greatly. Hands-on science and what has now more popularly been called making. So what I would say is really the precursor to engineering in the United States. That kind of hands-on opportunity, whether it's to follow the scientific method or design and engineering, has almost disappeared from most schools in the United States. And I think that's a tragedy, and really has to be reversed.
When you say hands-on, you mean like lab work? You mean actually, other than just book knowledge? I mean, getting the actual practical applications? Yeah, that is a concern, because just the facilities are just way under.
The teachers don't have the time or the facilities to teach real science, to teach real hands-on engineering, and the students don't have the opportunity to learn in that way. And that's it's the only real way to learn science in a meaningful way, and it's the only way to really engage students' imagination. And frankly, science competitions like ours have substituted for that kind of science learning and kept it alive during the dark ages of the last 15 years in the education system, when it's really disappeared from classrooms. As I said, teachers have not had the time or the facilities. Schools have not had the budget to spend on it because they've been so focused on the reading and math subject areas, which is where all of the attention has been focused during the years of No Child Left Behind and so on. That's been the sole focus for so long. That's where all of the attention and all of the money has gone, and science has atrophied as a result.
It's interesting you use the term dark ages, it's, but it really seems to be that way. With math, pretty much you just need the book and the blackboard and the computer. There's really you're not doing any scientific experimenting with math. So that's I guess it's the purest form of science. But when you get into other areas, you need to have the practical hands-on. And
and when they do experimentation, and I use air quotes on that, it's cookie cutter stuff where the outcome is known and it's a prescribed experiment where follow step A to step B to step C, and if you didn't get the conclusion X, well, you did it wrong, go back and do it over again. But there's no question, there's no discovery, there's no sense of surprise and wonder, there's no sense of ownership, there's no sense that you're answering a question worthy of being asked in the process, which is what the science competitions offer. The sense that you're actually doing something worth doing, there's sense of ownership. I loved I remember talking to one of the students, one of the student researchers, who said that the thing that she loved most about the work that she had done for the science competition was that for one brief moment, you're the only person in the world who knows what you know.
Wow, that is kind of enlightening.
Yeah.
Empowering.
You look at it that way. The sense of power that gives you, that you're the only person in the world who knows what you know when you've done an experiment.
Yeah, that is sweet. A sweet moment. So we've outlined these different things. Any other suggestions for improving the STEM education in the U.S.? What else you might recommend?
Well, I think that same sense of wonder has to be restored in the teachers. Too many science teachers have been turning the crank for too long. I just had a delightful visit with a school in Spokane, Washington, with a teacher who told me about his experience, who had, been turning the crank, biology teacher for years, and he'd just gotten burned out, and he decided that he needed to get himself back into the mode as a student. He'd gone back to school himself and built his enthusiasm as a student and studied genomics, and then went back into his classroom as a teacher. And he's built this incredible program in genomics, just amazing, over the years, and has his students doing genomics. Then they go into Montana and they dig up fossils and they extract DNA. Wow. And it's just amazing what he has created by going back to school, rebuilding his own sense of wonder, and then taking that into the classroom. And with students who are not, I assure you, privileged middle-class, upper-class kids. These are kids from, the side that we would have thought of as the wrong side of the tracks. These are kids coming from lower economic, and they don't think of themselves as the poor kids at all. They think of themselves as scientists, and they do real research, and they deliver real papers, and they are delivering real results. And it's just amazing to see what he's accomplished, because he restored his own sense of wonder.
And you were obviously so involved in that, and Intel obviously so involved in that, is doing all this great work. Wendy, we're pretty much out of time here. I want to thank you for being with us here on tonight's show, and I look forward to having you back again. The Intel Science Talent Search and all of the wonderful things that you and Intel do to help us in this educational. Okay,
well, it's been a real pleasure.
Yes, and thank you again for being with us here, Wendy, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Okay.
I hope so.
All right. Take care. Have a good evening. Good night.
Good night.
Goodbye. Bye-bye. All right. Well, there you go. And again, you can go to the website at computeramerica.com and click on the show notes. We'll have the links up there to all the articles that we talked about, and you'll see that for yourself. Coming up in hour 2, we're going to have computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Got some really interesting stories coming out. It is Wednesday, going into hour 2 of the show. Don't forget our contests are at computeramerica.com. Just go to our contest page and check them out for yourself. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Stay tuned for another hour of the Computer America Show.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Oh, are we live now? Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben. And Craig, you didn't tease the news stories last hour before before we switched hours.
No, I guess we didn't. It was a new process for us. We wanted to try it, and I think it went smashingly well because and I think this is going to open up a whole cornucopia of potential interviews, because so many times we can't get people for one reason or another to be here live at the 10 p.m. Eastern Time or 11 p.m. Eastern Time hour. Sometimes it's just that it's
it's a very small window to hit.
Yeah, it is, and because of that, we've missed so many really good interviews. But now that we're set up to do delayed broadcasts like that, I think that we'll be able to get even more interesting guests on the program. So I think this was a win-win. I think it was a big success, and I'm very, very happy that the process. You know, it's interesting because I mentioned to Ben, I said we were all set and ready to go, and I realized there was one thing that I hadn't done, and had I not done it, we would have had a duplication of the opening. It would have been a real mess, but fortunately I was able to catch it at the last moment, and so I was able to sidestep that. You know, there are so many little tiny niggling things, Ben, that you don't consider that when you make a change, whatever it is, and if
really, you didn't think to turn off your automation for the show? That seems pretty obvious.
Well, see, because I have a time schedule, and the time schedule begins at 10 o'clock, and it starts playing the opening, and I'm looking at it about 2 minutes before the show, so I went, oh, and it dawns on me, it's going to play here and the pre-recorded, and I'm going to have a duplication. It would have been a real mess. So I quickly was able to take out the first hour, and just resave it back and made a copy of it. So I'm going to do that for the second hour as well. I'm going to make a live first and a recorded schedule, so I'll have both. It's a little fine-tuning, but it all worked, and I'm very happy, pleased that everything happened. Anyway, welcome into Hour 2 of the Computer America Show. Again, that was Intel, Wendy Hawkins. We actually recorded that yesterday. Very interesting. All the links are up that I mentioned at the show notes page at computeramerica.com, and we'll also now open the phone lines. So if you have a comment or question on anything that we're talking about tonight, we'd love to hear from you. 347-884-8881 will get you on and get you through. Email is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. Of course, our live Computer America chat room is up and running. Just go to the chat room page at computeramerica.com. And also we have our live Computer America video streaming going there as well. I'm fighting a cold, and
you finally admit it.
I finally admit it. It's got to be. It's weird because I've never really had one. It's like a head cold, and my nose and my eyes are watering. But I don't have a fever. Don't have a cough. I don't have any of the other things that's traditional with a cold. I have a head cold.
Oh, that explains the swollen face.
Yeah, the swollen face. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, but anyway, we're going to do our news, and so Ben has his stories. I have my stories. And so let's start our news portion. Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. That's right. Everything at slimwareutilities.com is completely free. Download them all. Use them all. You're going to be happy that you did. They are absolutely wonderful. They do exactly what they say they do, and you'll thank us for it. SlimwareUtilities.com. And in this very first story, we were talking about people. I remember I mentioned that I went with a cab driver who was like in the 70s, and when he asked me what I did, and I told him, and he said, "Oh, I don't own a computer, never used a computer," and then I spent the rest of the drive conversation trying to figure out, well, how. And every suggestion I would make to him as a reason that he would want a computer, he just kept shooting it down. I said, "No,
but I bet you if you went and talked to him today and found him, I don't know how many years after this is, but if you found him today, undoubtedly he'd be using technology."
No, this was just a few months ago. I took the drive. I was going to rent a car, and he came pick me up and everything. So, anyhow, but this is an interesting story from CNET. We've got an 82-year-old uses the internet for the very first time. 82 years old, and it blows her mind. Her name, Kirsten Wolgers. In her 82 years of life, never once used a computer or surfed the web until today, actually. That's the 18th. Actually, earlier this month, she Googled, Skyped, Instagrammed, tweeted, and even swiped right on a dating app, Tinder. It was an experience, or experiment, rather, that she will never forget. Okay. Wolgers agreeing to wear a camera strapped on her chest, and I hope they explained to her that that wasn't necessary to surf the net, participated in a 5-day digital experiment conducted by public relations firm My News Desk to highlight the digital divide. Now, in the U.S., around 41% of seniors report that they don't go online, according to a 2012 Pew Research study. In Sweden, 10% of the entire population doesn't use the internet because they don't understand it. This is again according to my news desk. Wolgers admitted that she used to be one of those people, but she isn't anymore. More than 100 tweets, 39 Instagram posts, and one Gangnam-style YouTube view later, Wolgers realized that she was really missing out. She's quoted as saying, "To be honest, I don't think I was ever interested in the internet before. I realized that it was something I could benefit from." See, that's what I was trying to get the cab driver. I was trying to find a way he could benefit from using it, but every time I made a suggestion, he kept shooting it down. Well, anyway, everything has been very pleasant, but at the same time very difficult. In total, Wolgers fielded over 2,400 questions from Reddit users curious about her first internet experience. One important question the 82-year-old was asked is, "Will you continue using Tinder?" "Well, I'm not sure," she answered, highlighting that she hasn't met anyone on Tinder yet. "I don't know if anybody would find me interesting." Just keep swiping when user encouraged. A short film posted on YouTube by my news desk after the experiment showed Wolgers' hilarious reactions while using a computer and cell phone and going online for the first time. She said, "You could look at this for hours," said with an iPad in hand. "Yeah, really." And she says, "I wish I had waited 82 years to completely ruin my life." One user commented on the video. Wolgers countered that actually the world is better with access to internet. It opens up so many possibilities. Now, in the end, Wolgers said she's planning to continue learning more about technology. She may give up on Tinder, but when it comes to navigating the web, she's up for the challenge. So there you go. And now there's a picture of her wearing a T-shirt that says and it's got a big heart, the internet. So that's it.
It's a nice little feel-good story.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's wonderful. She really. I couldn't get this guy. You know, I think if I had done the same thing, if I'd gotten him in front of a computer and started showing him all this stuff or showing things that he could do, and I think because how much can I tell him in a cab ride? I didn't have that much time, but I think if he would sit down and spend a couple of days with it, he would have a change of heart. And this is sort of like a validation of that. I said, if I had more time to spend with you, I think that you would change your mind, and evidently did.
I'm glad you were able to find a story about a nice little old Swedish lady, 82 years old, using the internet for the first time and finding a way to spin it about yourself. So thank you, Greg. It's good.
I didn't spin it that. I mean, I just would like to see this guy. If I ever see him again, I'm going to suggest that he spent some time with it. I don't know. I won't be successful. He had his mind made up.
Okay.
He had an open mind, though. I mean, to even do this experiment,
she used it, and really, we've talked about it, briefly with a couple guests. But I mean, before the internet, what'd you do? You had to go to an encyclopedia if you want to learn something, or you had to ask the person next to you, and odds are they didn't know. Like, just looking up information involved, library trips, involved expensive book sets, involved knowledgeable people, none of which were, ever really, handy. But now with the internet, you have the sum of human knowledge in your hand.
Yeah, really, you do. Yes, you do. So he needs to take another look. All right, what do you got?
Poor cab guy. Anyways, we found a lot of really nice stories, and how about one to burst Craig's bubble?
Okay.
Why not? That'd be fun. And also there's one about Windows 10 we're going to do a little bit later, but this one, DRM, or how to make 30,000 hour LED bulbs last only 1 month. And from the our nation's landfills were looking a little empty department. This one from TechDirt, and one to artificially decrease the lifespan of your product in order to keep your revenue stream intact. DRM's got your back. It never asks why. It only asks why not. Run out of refills on a proprietary cat waste cleaning product, and a $200 luxury litter box becomes indiscernible from its $10 counterpart. Like generating a tremendous amount of waste along with your single cup of coffee? Hey, great, but your K-Cup refills better be on brand, or your expensive coffee maker will be about as active as the one you picked up from a garage sale for $2. Or less so, considering the secondhand one at least generated a funky burning smell before shorting out the kitchen wiring. But this one hops both those and the installed DRM does to artificially shorten the lifespan of the product. The IlluMask is a $30 light therapy mask that utilizes LED lights to zap away bacteria, stimulate skin cells, and otherwise fight acne and aging. Apparently, it depends on which model you're using. Sounds a little hokey. Sounds great, if you buy the claims. And it's all for $30. But wait, the trouble is, it is limited to 30 daily uses of 15 minutes each, totaling just 7.5 hours, effectively lasting you a month, on the end of which you just discard the device and get a new one. That seems to be a ridiculous waste of a perfectly fine functional device whose LEDs can last at least 30 to 40,000 hours.
There's planned obsolescence. They want you to buy it again.
Not even planned obsolescence. I'm sure those lights still work. Again, they're 30 to 40,000 hour lights, and they're having you use them for 7.5 hours before throwing it away.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So even if we ignore the negative environmental impacts, it's just ridiculous. Apparently, this was all used digital rights management, which helped reduce the LED's lifespan by 99.97%.
Oh my gosh.
So IlluMask offers its own rationale for this completely fake 7.5 hour time limit, and it's about as credible as Keurig's because safety claims. $1 per day, simply put, 30 uses per mask is the best way for us to offer you high performance light therapy, typically available for a higher performance price. At $1 per day, we believe everyone should have access to modern technology, and we believe that technology should work. IlluMask's patented 30-use system makes it happen.
They had to patent the technology that was going to wear out in 30 days.
It's so crazy. So yeah, they have a couple ways that they can get around it if you really needed, to use this mask for whichever anti-aging effect. Because honestly, if LEDs were anti-aging, I'd be like a baby right now. Like I love LEDs, but hey, I'm not gonna knock you for liking this product. And if you do feel the need to spend $30 on something you're only gonna use 99.97% of its actual lifespan, yeah. It was just a crazy use of digital rights management that really I've ever heard of. And as Craig said, it's part DRM, part planned obsolescence. Two things that consumers really, really like. So I'm glad they finally found a way to mix them together.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. This next story you'll find interesting, Ben. We actually had Tessero on the show a few weeks back, talking about their keyboards. Another link, according to Maximum PC, yesterday, Tessero's Lobera Spectrum mechanical keyboard is heading to North America. Now he asked, remember when mechanical keyboards were few and far between? That all changed in the last several years, and what was once a niche product is quickly becoming a crowded field. Go ahead and add one more model to the growing list of options as Tessero brings its Lobera Spectrum mechanical keyboard featuring RGB per key illumination and a few other notable bullet points to North America. Per key RGB illumination means gamers can customize the backlighting for each individual key with around 16.8 million color options. So if you wanted to, you could light up just the WASD keys and have each one glow a different color. You could also get 9 different LED effects to play with, including dimming, full zone, trigger, ripple, firework radiation, rainbow wave, and per key customized mode, plus 5 levels of brightness and 5 profiles to store them. If you really want a light show, you can put the keyboard in audio mode and watch the LEDs dance to the beat and bass of your playlist. This sounds like a really cool keyboard. Lots of eye candy. When you're done playing...
We had Tessera on. This is one of their new products, but we actually had them on talking about their whole lineup.
That's right, exactly. Now, when you're done playing with the lights, you can move over to macro recording. Unfortunately, there are no dedicated macro keys, though each key is programmable, including the MIDI keys, which are all accessible with one hand, according to Tessera. The Lobera Spectrum supports N-key rollover and USB 6-key rollover, has a 1,000 hertz polling rate, and offers USB and audio jack pass-through. There's a combo audio mic jack and 2 USB 2.0 ports, plus a DC in jack to charge smartphones and tablets to the keyboard. Tessera opted for Kayla switches, available in blue, brown, black, and red. The general consensus around the web is that Kayla switches are somewhat inferior versions of Cherry MX switches, as they're cheaper to produce and require varying or inconsistent force. The author's experience with Kayla switches is limited to the blue version on a TTE Sports Poseidon ZX keyboard. It wasn't hard to tell the difference between typing on Kayla's versus Cherry MX's, as the former didn't offer as much tactile feedback. Still, they're serviceable, especially if you're not already used to Cherry MX switches. The Tessera Laboro Spectrum is available now for about $160 street price, a little more than the suggested retail price of $149. That's interesting. Usually the MSRP, the street price is always lower. In this case, the street price is higher than the MSRP. All right, well, there it is. Yeah, yeah, that's unusual. But,
was there anything else to that story, or was that it?
That was it.
That was it. Okay. Yeah. No. We had them on talking about all the different kinds of switches, about mechanical versus your normal membrane laptop things. I think it still holds true, and Tessera never marketed themselves as the ultimate high-end user experience. They were always kind of the budget ones. They were the ones that you could buy for $50, $60, $70 and don't have to spend $180 or $200 on peripherals. So to know that they use something like maybe a little bit less than the best out there isn't surprising at all.
But have each individual key generate up to 16 million colors, so you can have each key. That's
but again, that's just 3 light emitting diodes, one red, one blue, one green, I think, and you can make 16 million colors out of that.
But you don't normally see that. I think you don't see each individual.
Yeah, normally they're all just kind of backlit, but I think individual LED backlighting, just like on the new Apple computers, just like on many new gaming keyboards, it's becoming a more popular thing.
Yeah, I think the demand is making it happen. Exactly.
Yep. So, but the 16 million colors thing doesn't really wow me that much, because I know it's just 3 LEDs, that can be mixed with
Okay.
in any number of ways.
Okay.
All right.
And when I say in any number of ways, it's in 16 million ways. All right. So here's a story that's been making a lot of here's a story that's been making a lot of noise lately. As in today, Microsoft will upgrade non-genuine Windows PCs to Windows 10 for free.
Aha. How are they doing?
So this is from Maxim PC, Paul Lilly, and software piracy has been the bane of Microsoft's existence ever since the first copy of Windows was pirated. Since then, it's been a cat and mouse game between Microsoft and pirates, but when it comes to Windows 10, it looks like Microsoft is willing to call a truce. More specifically, reports have emerged that Windows 10 will be offered as a free upgrade to all Windows users, even those running non-genuine copies. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So the initial report came from Reuters, which spoke with Terry Myerson, Microsoft's Executive Vice President of Operating Systems. That's a good place to be in Microsoft. Quote, "We are upgrading all qualified PCs, genuine and non-genuine, to Windows 10. he said, adding that the plans to re-engage with hundreds of millions of Windows users in China.
Yeah.
Oh, this is more of a China thing.
Yeah. Well, piracy is really out of control in China. I mean, because I know Microsoft sent people over there to try to, they were selling rip-off packages, and they were pretty much unsuccessful.
China's really good. Like we talked about before with one of our other guests who's actually been over to China. China's really good at reverse engineering, copying, and mass production, but they're not good at innovating.
Nope.
So they're really, really good at cracking Windows and redistributing millions upon millions of copies of fake Windows. Yeah. But they're not good at like that's why you never have an operating system from China that everyone uses. They're just not good at the innovation side. Yeah. So but this is pretty cool that they're kind of saying, okay, China, China and anyone else who is acting like a pirate, because I even have friends that, hey, their Windows Vista ran out of date and they had to go get Windows 7, but they didn't feel like paying $200. So they went out and they pirated a copy. And we don't endorse that, but hey, it happens. So it sounds like Windows is willing to extend some kind of olive branch and say, hey, come on over to us, come on and upgrade to Windows 10, just get on the books, and we'll be happy to give it to you for free. So that's pretty cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah. So apparently, like Craig said, Windows piracy runs rampant in China, and to deal with the problem, they're extending an olive branch. It will dole out Windows 10 through security outfit Qihoo 360 Technology and Tencent Holdings, China's most popular social network company with more than 800 million users. One service has 800 million users.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, China's
I know, but like just think about it. There's only like 350 registered Americans. 350 million?
Yeah.
That's more than twice.
Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
The population.
And that includes babies. That includes little tiny babies.
Yes. There you go.
Weird. So they don't mention whether the free upgrade for Windows Pirates only applies to users in China, or if it will be valid for the users in the U.S. and other parts of the world. Other reports make it sound like it's a global thing, including The Verge, which was told by a Microsoft spokesman that anyone with a qualified device can upgrade to Windows 10, including those with pirated copies of Windows. So, and they actually have an update here to the article. A Microsoft spokesperson provided Maxim PC with the following statement. Quote, "We are excited to launch Windows 10 this summer. Anyone with a qualified device can upgrade to Windows 10, including those with pirated copies of Windows. We believe customers will, over time, will realize the value of properly licensing Windows and will make it easy for them to move to legitimate copies." That's fair. See, that's a good attitude to have for your software. I know it makes complete opposite business sense to say, okay, we're somehow going to generate revenue by giving away our flagship product. That sounds totally backwards. But at the same time, they're re-engaging a user base that has only seen them as this malevolent, this force that is trying to squeeze some money out of them for an operating system. It's changing. Really, honestly, like all this news surrounding Windows 10, I think it's changing the way people are viewing Windows, for the first time in a long time.
And as you read the update here to this article, it says that they also were able to confirm with Microsoft that aforementioned upgrade policy for non-genuine copies of Windows to Windows 10 at no cost is indeed worldwide, not just for China. Which I think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It goes on to say this is an interesting turn of events, especially for anyone building a PC now. See, with Windows 10 right around the corner and confirmed to be a free upgrade for both genuine and pirated copies of Windows, some may find it tough to pull the trigger on a paid version. I'm not condoning piracy by any means, just pointing out the obvious dilemma. In any event, this is a big deal and more than just an olive branch. It's the entire olive tree Microsoft is extending. If this doesn't buy the company some goodwill, I'm not sure what will. There you go. So there it is.
What do you think?
I think it's, again, I maintain what I've said before. I think Microsoft, it's like a whole new Microsoft. Everything they're doing seems to be the right thing. I mean, all the different things that they're doing with Windows 10. It looks like they're correcting all their mistakes. And I can't fault them for anything that I'm seeing here.
See, but this latest one doesn't even seem to be a mistake.
No.
It seems to just be, you know, we're trying to work with you, you know? It's, yeah.
It's beyond just, you know, well, we're correcting the mistakes that we made before. These aren't mistakes. We're going to forgive you for your mistakes that you. And if you pirated our,
we're willing to look past your sullen piratey ways.
Yes, that's right. And we're going to give you a second chance. We're going to give
you beautiful people.
Okay. Well, I think that's another good thing. Another one in Microsoft's corner. Now,
Yep.
This next story. I don't have any time. I can kind of tease a little bit. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me do this. Let me tell you a little bit about our contests. All right. If you go to ComputerAmerica.com, it's Wednesday, and you just go to under the Interact pull-down menu. You'll see it says Enter Contests. You'll see all the different contests that we have at Computer America. We've got a Logitech contest, which gives away 3 great prizes. You can just click the register button. You can see all the prizes, the third, second, and grand prize. And they're really, really nice. They're all from Logitech. And on that same page is the official Computer America contest entry form. Fill it out, click the submit button, and you're entered. And again, it's completely private. This information, we don't give it to anyone. And at the end of the contest, we just toss it. We start anew. Okay, it's completely private. So do that, and the contest will end Friday, April the 10th at 12 midnight Eastern Time. Over the weekend, we'll draw the 3 winning names, and April 13th, we'll announce the 3 big winners. And then the other thing is our show reminder, email newsletter. That is our weekly newsletter that we send out every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And it has the entire lineup.
Oh, I hear the cold in you, Craig. I hear the cold in you. It's gotten worse in the past couple hours.
Yeah.
Yes, the show reminder. It has all the upcoming shows. It has special offers, and it has, you know, just about anything you need to know about the Computer America Show delivered to your inbox every week. Usually on a Monday, but sometimes even on Sunday. We are industrious people here, and yeah, you should totally sign up for it. Also, to get a chance at some free prizes.
That's right. Every Friday, we draw from that list of subscriber names a winning name to win that $80 T650 glass touchpad from Logitech. All right, we got more stories coming up. We're going to talk about Sony launches its new PlayStation Vue as a bigger, pricier internet TV. That story coming up next. We've got lots more. You're listening to the Computer America Show. We'll be right back. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number. 1-866-663-MyTV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MyTV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
Attune your auditoria channel and we'll begin. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time Castle OS. The Wild West of home control devices, controllers, protocols, and incompatibilities very much limits a user's ability to make significant things happen, especially when you try to act natively with more than one try. Castle OS is software that addresses a growing list of third-party controllers and home control protocols, bringing with it some sophisticated ways to consider the conditions of sensors and schedules and more. Much of it is like a rules language, some of it like a scripting language, but all of it approachable with no requirement for any major programming skills. On Windows, as on many mobile platforms, it runs as an HTML app, largely browser agnostic. We like that it's very good at setting up sensor-centric automation. With enough sensors, workspaces become to some extent self-aware, and there's some level of autonomy in simply setting up stimulus response instructions. Bottom line, in the Tower of Babel of home control systems, Castle OS offers a facile Rosetta Stone with a dollop of finesse. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bullet Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour, and we are here on a wonderful, what is today, Wednesday? I don't even know. All the days run together. A Wednesday edition of the Computer America Show. We are doing computer and...
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day. Hump Day. Anyways, it is 33 minutes past the hour. Computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. First hour, we had a great recorded interview by Intel. Recorded, though I don't think it really took away from the subject matter.
No,
it was still a very cool subject, and even pre-recorded, it was nice to talk about.
Yes, it was.
Anything else? No, we're right in the middle of news, and I believe it is time for Craig's.
Yes, Sony launches the PlayStation Vue as a bigger, pricier internet TV. Now, Sony's entrant into the burgeoning web-delivered TV world hits 3 cities today with a $50 entry price that may test how much people really want to cut the cord. Wow. Sony today launched its PlayStation Vue. It's an internet TV service accessible for now just through its gaming console and only in New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago. The entry-level price is...
That's weird.
$49 a month. What's weird?
I'm wondering why they restricted it to only certain cities.
Well, maybe that's... I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Well, anyway, continuing the story, it's $49.99 a month. And PlayStation Vue, which is offering 7-day free trials, is the latest in a series of over-the-top TV services to hit the web in recent months. After the television industry for years hemmed in options that divulged from the traditional cable or satellite bundles of channels. Warming to such services shows how networks and TV providers have recognized the long-term importance of appealing to a cord cutter, someone who forsakes a traditional pay TV for internet-based video. But Vue, with its relatively high $50 price for its basic tier of service, will test whether internet television can win adherents based not on significant price savings, but on the new merits of a web-based system. Paying for Vue, in addition to paying an internet service provider, creates a total cost that approaches what a consumer might pay for both video and internet from a cable company. View will also indicate how much the PlayStation base of users is interested in entertainment, coming all through one source. Okay. Sony said it is introducing View as an entertainment solution for households that already have the company's PlayStation 3 and 4 gaming consoles. Oh, it also works on the 3 too. Okay. The PlayStation user, by and large, is typical male, age 18 to 39. That gamer household is something we've defined even further, said View's head of product. Lots of people use these platforms to consume Netflix and other digital media. The household is bigger than just the guy who bought the PlayStation. View streams live, on-demand, and DVR TV over the Internet. The company has an iPad application in the works. PlayStation gaming consoles are among the most common devices used to stream video from the Internet to a TV. Sony has installed base of 35 million PlayStations, PS3, and PS4 combined in the U.S. He also said that View will add more device support in the mobile space and the TV connected space, referring to handhelds and other boxes along the lines of a Roku or Chromecast without specifying devices. Though View is limited for now to New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia, he said Sony will add more U.S. cities later this year. View's collection of channels is a mix of local and regional networks, broadcast staples, and cable options. It includes broadcasters CBS, NBC, and Fox, as well as many of those companies' related channels, such as Fox's Fox News and NBC Universal's Bravo and Sci-Fi. I didn't know Sci-Fi was part of the NBC universe, Sci-Fi channel. All right.
You know, you wouldn't think that a lot of channels are related to a lot of other channels, but it seems like there's only a couple big ones out there.
You know what's missing is ABC. You got the two.
Who needs that?
Two of the three big networks. What happened to ABC? Anyway, it also includes networks from Discovery, Scripps, Turner, and Viacom. AMC channels, including the namesake network that is home to The Walking Dead, television's top-rated scripted series, will be added to the service next month. The author's colleague has written up a full listing of the channels and a comparison to rival service Sling TV from Dish. Notable View absentees, Disney's ABC Broadcast Network. I didn't realize ABC was now owned by Disney. Where have I been? Did you know ABC was Disney?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay. Disney's ABC Broadcast Network is, and its all-important king of cable sports, ESPN. It also lacks premium channels like HBO or Showtime. For an additional $10, subscribers can add local sports channels. New York gets the Yes Network for Yankee games, and Philadelphia and Chicago get Comcast Sportsnet for those cities. And yet for another $10, subscribers get more niche lifestyle, music, and family channels. One of the major differences between View and rival Sling TV, which launched last month as the first true internet multi-channel live TV service, is that View includes DVR and on-demand capabilities. That is so important. When was the last time you watched something live? It's all time-shifted. So now you have on-demand and DVR. Once viewers tag a favorite show using the DVR feature, they will automatically have access to recorded episodes of that show for 28 days without storage size or scheduling restrictions. That is nice. The previous 3 days of much programming is available on demand without the need to schedule recordings. Yeah, I mean, how many times you missed a show and that's it? You know, you didn't pick it up, or you realize you. What was it just with us? My wife loves watching Dancing with the Stars, and we just realized that she missed the opening show. And I looked to see, well, they're going to show it again. You know, nope, that's it. You missed it. But with this,
see, so this service isn't really a true, you know, what you're really looking for. This is like, I think they wanted all these channels, and they wanted all the programming available on these channels in an a la carte mode. But this is still essentially turning your PlayStation or whatever console you have into a cable box. Like, you're getting actual cable.
Yeah. I mean, you are, but it's all through the internet. The previous 3 days of much programming is available on demand without the need to schedule recordings. See, that's really, really nice. Another major difference is price. View's entry price is $50 a month. Sling TV's cheapest option is $20 a month. View's higher price point raises the question about whether its differences from cable and satellite norms, such as not locking its customers with contracts, unwavering rates, the ability to search for TV in a more robust and intuitive way than the grid-like guide will hold sufficient attraction for people to compensate for having fewer channels than cable for not much less money when the cost of internet service is added. He also said that the way View serves up TV will make customers feel like they're getting more than they did before because of features that make it easier to find and get what they like to watch. He's quoted saying, "There's been a lot of great TV made recently and a lot of great TV in general that people can't find. It's about the mechanism by which you can make it available. How can you make it more about what I want to watch and less about what's on at a given time?" Good point. PlayStation View is Sony's response to that question, but View raises another question. Will people pay top dollar for it? And that's the plot. Borrowing from the land of TV, and that is to be continued. I think that as this gets more in popularity, I think the price will come down and make it even more. I think it'll make it more attractive. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
You know, I think the price point, I'm not too sure about that, because right now it seems like there's this huge flourishing of new content on Netflix, on Hulu, on all these other services, on brand new services we've never even heard about. It seems like everyone is dishing out tons of money for content. So I don't think the price is, like, honestly, I think they're going to try to keep that price point as much as they can. But what they're going to do is they're going to try to strike deals and get way more content while staying at the same price.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned there are a lot of these services coming out, and I think they're going to have to compete with each other, and either they're going to compete with each other by offering services that the other one doesn't have, or they have to bring the price down. I mean, that's the two options, right, Ben? I mean that's what's going to make it attractive to consumers.
Yeah, that's going to like it's also going to be ease of use, and right now this is making a great step in the fact that you don't need a dedicated box anymore. You could just use your PlayStation, and that's something that a lot of people, especially people who have PlayStations, are generally pretty good at technology and are already using services like Netflix and all this kind of stuff.
But
so it's not exactly breaking new ground. So it's easy to use, and the price point, honestly, they're saying, yes, it costs a lot. It costs almost as much as cable. $50, and again, that's $50 for the service without a contract. So it's not like you're going to have a technician come out to your house and you got to pay a technician fee. It's not like you're going to have to, yada yada yada, so many things. It's just another service on your Xbox
or PlayStation.
Or PlayStation. There we go. Or PlayStation. It's just another service, which is great. So it's more appealing because it's easier to use, and I think people are going to be willing to, fork over the $50 if they really want that programming. This is pretty much the easiest way to get it.
Well, okay. Take what you just said. Let's look at the other devices. Sling TV. What do you have to buy? You have to buy a Sling device.
You have to buy a Sling device, and yeah, that's it.
Or you have to buy, the Chromecast. You have to buy a Chromecast. It's $35, but you still have to buy one. You have to buy an Apple TV. For the Apple TV, you have to buy more hardware. Whereas with the PlayStation View, you don't have to buy any hardware. You got the hardware. So there is that.
And this is almost as true to cable as you can get without actually buying cable. Like, you actually get your local channels. You get so-and-so channels. You're getting live streaming television.
Yes, you are. And I love that not only the on-demand, but that other view where basically which allows you to go back and get something. If you missed it, you can get it again. You don't have to say, I missed that episode, and I just have to wait till they show it again. So if you realize that you missed something, you have a few days to go back and watch it on demand. Even though you didn't set it up that way, it'll just be available. Which is
it has a lot of merit. So if you're a PlayStation, definitely something to check out.
And not only that, but they did hint that it's going to start appearing in other services as well, or is it only? Will this always just be PlayStation, or are they going to offer it on other devices as well? They mentioned iOS, right?
Yeah, they mentioned that they were going to bring it to other cities because remember, there's only 3 cities it's targeted towards right now. So they're going to bring it to other cities, other consoles, other applications, other operating systems. They're going to try to bring this to as many devices as possible to get as many people as possible. And, you know, it's also going to be an added value because what if you have a PlayStation, but then you also have an iPad? You also have an Android phone. You also have this and that. Then you could use the same service that you're already paying for, and then you could just watch it anywhere you go.
That's it.
It's going to be value added. So it's in its early stages, and if you're lucky enough to get this, it seems like a good alternative to cable. If you're a television junkie, this is the best way you can get this much content for this price.
Yep, it appears to be that way. Okay. We have time for a couple more stories.
We do have time for a couple more. How about we could do the just a quick overview of this one. Not actually going to go into it. We've been talking about virtual reality a lot on the show lately because a lot of companies are making virtual reality. Mm-hmm. Apparently, there is a new horror film called Catatonic. And yes, it's for VR. It's for virtual reality.
Catatonic, okay.
Catatonic. So it's not the director of it. It's a horror film, and you use it while you view it while wearing a virtual reality headset, and it's filmed and it's filmed around the idea that you're going to be using this as like a sensory device. So it's not just sit down in a seat and you're watching a flat screen. This is virtual reality, so it's kind of counting on the fact that you are, looking up and down and around, looking behind you, and that kind of thing. They said that it's going to be very, very disturbing. Not so much jump scares, but more it's going to make your skin crawl. It's going to be creepy. So they directed it using actually it's still in use, but it's a little dated. It's a mental hospital in Southern California, and they even built a special wheelchair that the viewer can sit in, and it will have a haptic feedback system where if someone grabs your wheelchair, it'll kind of give you the sensation that someone's pushing you. If someone knocks your wheelchair, it'll give you that sensation. Like it's really meant to immerse you in this horror film.
Huh. Wow.
It's kind of the first that I've really heard of like an independent, like I've heard of this kind of thing, but it's always been like tech demos and things like this. This is the first time someone actually made third-party content in this way using this kind of technology. So if you were kind of wondering, well, what good is VR? Imagine an entire horror film that you are really experiencing through. Like you're not just watching it, you're actually experiencing it. Like if something happens behind you and you look behind you, you actually see a different view than if you just stayed still and looked forward the whole time. Like it's going to be cool.
I think so. What was the? I'm not going to really do the story, but what was that story where we were talking about judges not understanding technology, or the law?
Moore's law?
No, we're talking the other day about how judges are. I know what it was. It was the.
We were talking with Zoe and on Monday, I believe.
Yeah, we were talking that and. The name
Zoe
of
Quinn, and we were talking about how sometimes judges they don't keep it as fast as the technology that they are litigating over.
Well, there's a story here from CNET that 3 judges are fired for using office computers to watch porn.
Is that really newsworthy anymore?
I don't know. I mean, that's it. Evidently, they might be technology savvy, but I guess they know enough to do that, to watch porn. Only 3 judges were fired for using their office computers. But I'm not going to get into that story.
If anything, you should just fire them for the fact that, honestly, if I knew that was happening, I don't think I could ever take them seriously again.
Yeah, I wonder what.
I get, there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
And at home, whatever, behind closed doors, do whatever you want. Don't care. When you're at work and you're a judge, especially one, presumably these three were presiding over, people, not just like, law judges or, property judges. Like these guys were, people, sentencing them to jail time and stuff. And they're, a phrase came to mind, but I can't say it on the air. They're just, whatever.
They're being hypocritical. I mean, I'm not going to get to it, but the point is, I just found that to be so ironic, that we're just talking about it. Anyway,
no one's perfect, but come on, there's a line there that we have to kind of draw.
I mean, when a judge looks down upon you in a court of law, you get the feeling that they're supposed to be a bit superior, but not that. Not look at judges the same way. But what I do want to mention is the story here that Microsoft is opening Skype up to the business world. A new version of the popular chat software aimed to let you connect with coworkers and contacts outside your company. So you're probably using Skype now to chat with family and friends, but now you can use it to chat with colleagues and coworkers as part of your official workday. This was unveiled Monday. The Skype for Business technical preview will give you a chance to try out the Workday edition of the software before it goes officially launches next month. Designed to replace and expand on Microsoft's Lync communications platform, Skype for Business will allow you to search for and connect and chat with other Skype users, whether inside or outside your organization. The new Skype for Business will also be integrated into Microsoft Office. That's nice. So instant messages and voices and video calling will be accessible within Office as well. Otherwise, Skype for Business will work and act like the consumer version. That's really the only differences. But he says, meanwhile, don't fret about any changes to those weekly video chats between the little ones and their grandparents. The consumer experience known and loved around the world will continue to be referenced to as Skype. Okay. You will still be able to use Skype the way you always have, with the same user accounts and contacts. Skype for Business falls into a new strategy as the product is geared toward helping business users better collaborate with each other. The business-oriented version will also emphasize Microsoft's need to continue to focus on corporations as a key source of customers and revenue. Skype for Business is specifically geared toward companies and other organizations as it offers enterprise-level security along with the necessary management controls for IT professionals. IT pros and business users can browse to the Office evaluations page to register for and download Skype for Business. Okay, so just to mention to you, that's you can actually look at the preview now. It's up if you think that might be interesting. We use Skype here at Computer America. We actually do our show using Skype. You might not know that, but we do. It has its little quirks.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it has its little quirks and things, but we do use it, and it does a pretty good job. Yeah. So, what else?
Yeah, we only have time for like one more story. So, we're going to do. How about this one? Uber. They've been all over the news, and honestly, it seems like they're getting super big, like overnight. Like I remember when they were just a tiny little newcomer onto the scene. They were, a ride-sharing app that let you, share rides. And now, get this. Today, Uber cars now outnumber yellow cabs in New York City.
That's saying something because there are a heck of a lot of cabs in New York City.
There are 13,587 taxis.
Wow.
And there are 14,088 Ubers.
Ubers. Wow.
Yep. So you may see yellow taxis as virtually synonymous with New York City transportation, but you might have to reconsider that image before too long. New taxi and limousine commission data shows that Uber cars now outnumber cabs in New York City, again with 14,000 Ubers and 13,587 taxis. It's not hard to see why the ride-sharing service has grown so quickly since its arrival in 2011. Uber drivers can earn much more in the right circumstances, and they don't have to worry about fixed schedules, complicated licensing, or cheapskates who don't pay. This milestone probably won't thrill city officials who are worried that Uber is both depriving them of tax revenue, since the drivers don't need medallion licenses.
You know You know how expensive those? You know how expensive the New York City cab medallion is too? It's
Yes.
thousands and thousands of dollars.
That's why they have unions and stuff. It's very bogged down in history, heritage, and legal and professional things. So, and playing fast and loose with regulations. However, it's doubtful that that there's any going back now. Uber is huge enough in New York that commuters would notice if it went away. So, yeah, now this kind of puts it into perspective when the New York City cab union starts striking against Uber and stuff like that. There's more Uber than taxis now, and that is really hard to do.
Wow. Yeah, the cab in New York is just as you say, is anchored in so much history because there was nothing else to compete with it. It was almost like a monopoly.
There was horse and buggy, and then there was cab.
Yeah, cab. So they had a smooth ride. Now you have something that's going to compete with it, and I'm sorry, that's fair. That's the American way. That's it's not a monopoly anymore.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if cab drivers eventually, if they were in the right circumstances, dropped out and became Uber drivers.
Yeah, maybe that's happening. Unless, of course, if you own your Shield, if you worked half your life to pay for that little piece of metal that's on the hood of your car, that won't. But if you're just a cabbie, and you're just driving and you're pulling down so much an hour, the Uber thing might be more appealing to that person. Exactly. Especially if they already own a car.
Seriously.
Yeah, we don't have time for it, but the Popular Science is a story. We should do this tomorrow. There's a box that can figure out your 4-digit iPhone PIN electronically. Because if you think about it, a 4-digit PIN is only 10,000 numbers, 0 to 9999, right? 0000 to 9999. So that's 10,000 possible numbers. And there's a box now that can figure out your 4-digit PIN passcode in a few moments. Because 10,000 PIN numbers was enough of a deterrent, for
90 seconds.
But now you got a little box you put on it, and it figures out the PIN code in a matter of moments. That could cause.
See, but I get my PIN code wrong 3 times, and it locks me out. Are you telling me this thing is somehow able to punch it in 10,000 times?
Yeah, evidently. Why don't we do the story tomorrow? Okay. Because again, from Popular Science, we'll talk about it. Anyway, that about wraps it up the show tonight. And again, thanks so much for being with us here. Again, our first pre-recorded Computer America show.
60 seconds.
With Intel. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. Tomorrow night, it's our All Linux show with Monsieur Marcel Gagne at the helm, talking about Linux, and more Linux. It's an interesting time. I mean, he'll be with us here with his glass of wine, kicking back, relaxing, sipping the wine, and talking about Linux. If you're interested in Linux, you have any interest at all in Linux, tomorrow night is where you want to be. Oh, this cold is kicking my butt.
Assuming Craig makes it till tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be here. If not, Ben will have to do it. Anyway, thanks again for being here. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night.
10 seconds.
Good night.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody, again, thanks for watching us on our live Computer America video streaming page. Marcel Gagne going to be here tomorrow night. Thanks for being with us here. Have a good one. Good night, everybody.